Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund, yes. Consistent with the 2008 agreement between the province and municipality, the OMPF will be phased down to $500 million by 2060.
What was that again?
Consistent with the 2008 agreement between the province and the municipalities, the OMPF, Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund, will be phased down to $500 million by 2016.
From what?
This is a program that Ottawa was generally not eligible for. It's the pre-uploading way of sharing money with municipalities, and it mostly benefited smaller municipalities. Yeah, we got a little bit of money, but it was like $5,000 a year with hardly a rural writing a check for it.
In the coming months, the government will be reviewing how the OMPF works and seeking advice from its municipal partners on how to more effectively meet their needs while remaining with the program's identified envelope. Despite the agreed-upon phase-down of the OMPF, overall provincial support to municipalities will continue to increase, with provincial uploads more than offsetting the reduction to the program.
That's the uploading of social services, court costs and prisoner transfer costs. And
I'm just saying, wasn't there something in there about download too? Like, is there kind of a thing happening there?
Well, the community startup is being downloaded, but everything else is being uploaded.
What about the housing? Some of those housing things we just talked about.
Can we skip to the housing?
There's something here about housing.
This is important.
Some of those things we just
Okay. All right. Sorry.
The government will continue to work with its municipal partners to seek opportunities to improve service delivery and achieve greater efficiency. For example, the province is currently working with the City of Toronto to enter into an agreement for the province to provide the administrative service for the housing allowance components of the recently announced Investment in Affordable Housing Initiative, a program that will provide increased flexibility to meet local housing needs. This type of intergovernmental delivery agreement would provide a model for improved program efficiency, while recognizing the role of municipal service managers in making decisions regarding local housing programs.
Okay, debrief.
This is quite an interesting concept because the City of Ottawa, our $14 million program includes some housing allowance money and so on, and it's 100% municipal dollars, but they're currently in negotiations to pay part of Toronto's similar setup. But they're in negotiations with the City of Toronto to arrive at an agreement where they will pay part of the costs of a housing allowance to be given to low-income folks. The City of Ottawa, however, implemented as part of the $14 million. Part of that is for housing allowances, but it's 100% municipal dollars. The city is not being, the city that has actually done that is not being given the benefit of having done that by having it subsidized by the province. Essentially, thanks very much, Ottawa, good job, you got this. But we're going to help Toronto with the bottom line. So equality between how you treat different municipalities, and again, they're talking about funding what is essentially a pilot with Toronto, and they'll have to run that for 3 years before it's rolled out anywhere else. So we're not looking at anything that's going to benefit the province at large. It will help families in Toronto. I'm not saying it's a bad thing for some people, but it's not. This is putting another barrier up.
It's just the housing pot where new builds have to bring a whole bunch of people to the table. They get part of it from the province as a subsidy, and then they have to bring it private partners. And so
this is a separate agreement they're making around housing allowances with Toronto.
So they're not talking about construction at all.
No, housing allowances for existing people in situ wherever they are now will be given a subsidy to cover the way too high rent that the landlord is charging.
Right.
Acorn's been doing an awful lot of work in all that. Yeah.
I'm unaware what in Toronto people are doing.
But here in Ottawa, what's been going on?
What's it to do with repairing the houses?
Well, that's what I mean. What
Mostly
happened?
maintenance and it's large corporations. Yes, certainly it's individuals now. It's Harringay, it's Transglobe, it's the big corporations.
But the actual City of Ottawa housing guys were involved in some of the.
No, it was
No,
with
concerns
Transglobal.
It was with private
Private.
owners.
Transglobal?
Yeah, you did a lot of work with the private ones, but you didn't do any work with the city owned
The
properties,
city dug it up on their own.
did they?
Yeah.
I think they had to.
Yeah. Sorry, put you on the spot like that, I really thought you guys had.
Can we skip over gaming support municipalities?
No. Yes.
POA, Provincial Offenses
Casinos.
Act, municipal infrastructure. The government also remains committed to working with its municipal partners to help ensure the sustainability of core municipal infrastructure. Roads, bridges, water systems, and wastewater systems account for approximately 70% of the replacement value of municipal public infrastructure in Ontario and are a critical component of a strong economy. Funding for municipal infrastructure has totaled approximately $13 billion since 2003, and that's all they have to say about municipal infrastructure.
Yeah.
That's it?
Sounds like there won't be any new cash this year, kids.
You know what? The only cash available to municipalities right now, federally, is in a PPP Canada fund, which is tied funding to P3s. The only way you can get access to that money is if you actually are going to implement a P3. So if you want to build a new wastewater system or build a road or something like that, and you don't have enough cash,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you need to get some federal help, there's nothing except for the P3 Canada fund that you can apply.
So there's no capital in there for housing. In other words, it's all sort of ongoing
Yeah.
rent support and.
No, they feel it's the federal government's responsibility. So we're not going to do something that the federal government is not happy.
And they're also,
Ridiculous.
they're happy with the P3 model, provinces, so.
Well, it's
Agreement on housing.
Anyway.
But municipal talking about.
The way it actually
Defense of
rolls
the
out
province.
is a mess. So until there's a national housing strategy, and things are not catching
Exactly.
So the money was never forthcoming either, despite any agreement for it, was it?
Yeah, it's simply no.
Sorry?
There's a 5-year thing that we're currently under, which the first 2 years were paid out, and then it looked like they weren't going to continue with it.
Right.
But they have reached some kind of agreement with the feds that money will continue to flow. But it's not going to the street level. It's going to things like for instance, I'm in social housing, and we've built a new thing, but it's entirely for below market rent and low market rent. So it's not for the bottom, quintile of the population. It's for the people.
Who are already housed.
Some of them are, and some of them aren't. Yeah.
But it's not a fully subsidized.
You're not subsidized at all. And we aren't even allowed, like, if, let's say, I suddenly became rich and wanted to stay in my unit, I couldn't transfer my subsidy into the one the house next door, because there's a
Financial cut, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be earning
No.
$700, that one?
The housing provider isn't allowed to take the subsidy on unit 430 and give it to the family in unit
Because it's
1207.
attached to your personal situation.
No, it's attached to the house.
Oh, it's, I see.
So the programs are built in such a way that certain units are subsidized and certain units are not. And
Yes.
so you have to be, if you're in a non-subsidized unit and you lose your job or whatever happens, that your income drops, you have to move out and go in the private market somewhere, put your name on the list, and in 10 years we'll call you. But
Yeah,
you
it's only
can't-
12 years long, that list.
You can't move people who are like, we've had people who've physically moved from the subsidized side to the other side
still
because they can afford.
But does that depend on which pot of money would build that unit?
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
not universal, it's
No.
a mess, a patchwork of different.
Well, the subsidies that they're talking about in Toronto, is that going to cover, is that similar?
No, what those are is what's called housing allowances, and what that is I live at 123 Main Street, and a private landlord owns the building. The rent is $900 a month, and 30% of my income might be $500 a month. So they will give housing allowance or the difference, but they don't.
No.
No, it happens in different municipalities, but they're negotiating an agreement to provide money to Toronto to do this. A lot of different municipalities, we've had housing allowances here for a long time. There's not a lot of them, but they do exist. And part of that $14 million went into
That's right.
housing allowances. I can't remember the number, but it's,
Not the 14 million, the 10 million, because 4 million was for renovations
That's
and
right.
cleaning.
4 million was for
It
new.
was capital. Yeah.
Well, also renovation
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the existing
Infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is you don't create, it's not a long-term solution, it's a Band-Aid at the best. At the worst, what you're doing is you're telling the landlord, Hugh, that you will continue to get $900 for that unit. And so it doesn't matter, and you're actually better off than somebody who's low income unit, because they're not just like, if I'm paying $900 market rent and I can afford to do that now, if I lose my job next week, they're gonna have to evict me. So they're actually better to have the stability of someone who's being subsidized, and they can keep their rent as high. But if the market, if the occupancy rate goes up or down, whichever is better for landlords, or worse for landlords, then they drop their rents. They won't have to drop their rents if they have housing allowances in place.
Was that one you just had up, housing in Ontario to remain affordable? Is that what I saw?
Yeah.